Streamcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Streamcast. It is me, your host Black Amora, always doing the most. And to my left is the legend Hannes from byteparrot. How are you doing, Hannes?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for asking. Now, obviously, I know you a little bit, but for the listeners and viewers who might not know who you are, please, would you like to give them a little bit of a synopsis as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a solo game developer. I'm working on this game called Slopecrashers that we are talking about today. I'm trying to stream most of my game development process. At the moment, it's a little bit less, but there were times where I did more. But that's something I really like to do. I also am trying to do devlogs, but they tend to do yeah, it's a lot of time. So there is like a great number of 2 devlogs on my YouTube channel, but there will be more at some point, I swear. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, awesome. And we're going to get into this more later as the pod goes on. But yeah, you are developing this game called Slopecrashers by yourself, which is
Yeah.
quite the feat. And I mean, we're going to take it all the way back to games that you used to enjoy as a gamer, as opposed to, now that you have this software experience. So, what was your first ever game and console?
On my first ever game and console. So um there is like pictures of me that exist where I'm like really very very small child where I like sit there with like a Game Boy, but I don't remember that too much. So the first console I say that I had is like the N64 because I played it a long time throughout my childhood, and yeah, we had like three games, which was Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, and Snowboard Kids. So those were the games that we always played.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great start. Super Mario Kart. I think those are two of the iconic gaming pillars that they've made it to today still. So they're doing something
True.
right, aren't they, over there?
True.
And I think that third game might have kicked off a certain theme in your life when we
Yeah.
when we look at the game of Slopecrashers, which is very good. It's very interesting because sometimes you can tell what themes people cling on to throughout their life. So
Mm.
yeah, it's definitely something that
I also
spoke to
think
you.
it's kind of interesting why. Like, I
Mm.
try to think back sometimes why that game was it, and I think the only big reason that we played it all the time, every time, was because we didn't have a memory card. So every
Ah,
time we wanted to play this, we had nothing and we had to unlock everything again.
mhm.
Also, it was super difficult for us to get everything because we always had like very limited playtime every day. So we had to perfect how
Yeah.
we make a run through the game to yeah, speed run it basically to get towards the ending, and it took us years even to get to the ending.
Wow.
And at some point, much later, I bought a memory card on eBay, and I played it through once more, and then never again. So, yeah.
I can relate to that though because yeah, growing up without a memory card, you either got really good at one level one, or
Mm,
you just mastered the game in like a 15-hour stint. But yeah, more time was just we got good at like the first two levels, and then we had to play it again the next time we got on the console. So yeah, it's always almost a feeling of victory when you get a memory card because like it makes
yeah.
your life so much easier. And almost like the allure of the challenge of the game in question is just like reduced greatly. So I do kind of get that 100%. So let's take it from your first game to your favorite games. I always ask my guests what are their top 5 games and why.
Okay. Um, yeah, I think like the first one is easy. It's Snowboard Kids, and I don't. I, there's a lot in there. I don't even know where to begin. I think maybe because it's not just like racing, but it's also like, I mean, you have the random Mario Kart elements there too because it has like items and stuff. But it's also you can do more while you're racing, like doing tricks and kind of try to do as many tricks as possible, and which adds risk to your gameplay, because if you mess it up, you fall and you probably will lose. And especially
Right.
when you think about like speed running, we needed to gain as much money as possible in the game, so we maxed it, like do tricks there, like even at locations where you can, where you shouldn't do, or at least the devs did not intend it. So that was kind of very interesting to like find your own routes and find your own ramps. And I don't know, also very iconic characters. And the music, I still listen to the music every once in a while. I even have it on like CD now, and
Wow.
it's now even on vinyl. I don't have it there yet, but I don't know. It has an amazing soundtrack. Can definitely recommend that. So that's Snowboard Kids. Yeah, also like of course fond memories with like playing with my sister or with cousins and stuff. So it had split screen multiplayer. Yeah, so that's like all of this feeling of this game is kind of something I wanted to put in my game as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, other favorite games. I am not sure if like I'm like in between Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. I
Okay.
think it's Mario Sunshine though. Like I feel like online that's kind of the more hated 3D Mario platformer, but I don't know. It's like the feeling in that game was really great. Like you are
Oh,
on this island and there's like a lot of exploration, and it felt more real. And
yeah.
in Mario 64, it's like, yeah, you have this little hub world that are like
Mm.
flying in the sky, so it's not super realistic. I don't know. I really liked that. And yeah, that's definitely one. What else? Burnout Paradise. Burnout
Ooh,
Paradise.
okay.
I was very late to the party with the Burnout games, because people always say that's the other ones are much better. And like, yeah, I never played them because I was a Nintendo kid with my 3 games.
Yeah.
And later, when I like got my first proper PC, I also bought like Burnout Paradise, and that was like in my teenage years, and everyone had like their own game, like World of Warcraft. People played World of Warcraft religiously. For me, it was Burnout Paradise.
Hmm.
Like it was really it was bad. Like I was at some point I was like ranked 2 on the world ranking leaderboard.
Whoa.
And
What?
I skyped with the ranked 1 player all the time. We played together. It was amazing. Yeah, like I
That's
played that
sick.
game way too much.
No, but that's sick. That's awesome. Like, yeah, that's something you should start out with. At one
Fair.
point, number 2 ranked burnout player in the world. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a
Do you
crazy
still keep in
time.
contact? Is there any contact still?
No, unfortunately not.
Ah, that's fair.
There was in the time where like grades started slipping in school, and I like kind of was like, okay, do I really want to be the best in Burnout Paradise,
Yeah.
or do I like want to fix my grades? I kind of stopped with that.
Yeah, smart choice.
Yeah. But yeah, that was great. I love that game, and I still like it. That's the one game that I own absolutely on every platform multiple times sometimes, because there's like, wait, it's now on Steam. I need it on Steam. Or wait, it's now it's remastered. I need it on the Switch. Like I have it so often. I have it on every platform.
Hey, everyone's got that signature game.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, and I think that were 3 games.
Mhm.
Uncharted. I
Okay.
think I'm not sure if Uncharted 2 or 3. Um,
Right.
they all have great single player campaigns. Like I think if you play them all, they are great. And I love the stories. But for me, it was also the multiplayer.
Mm,
Uncharted 2 and 3 had, yeah, no, I think like the greatest battle multiplayer. Like I still want a game like that again, because the servers have been gone for a long time.
yeah.
And yeah, it was just very it was very small. It had a small community, but all of them, and we all played it like all the time with our little very cheap plastic headphones on the PlayStation 3 back then, where you could never understand what the other ones were saying. But yeah, that was great. I played it also way too much. And yeah, now one more game. Damn. I thought I was so sure with myself when you asked, "Hey, do you have like 5 games?" I'm like, yeah, of course I have so many games. I guess I'm going with a very recent game. And now I can't decide between recent games, so it's either Breath of the Wild or Tears of the
Strong.
Kingdom. It's very very hard to say now.
Mm.
Or Baldur's Gate 3. But I think I will stick with Tears of the Kingdom. I think that was great. I loved that.
So I got to play Breath of the Wild. I
Yeah.
haven't finished it. I don't think I ever will. But how does Tears of the Kingdom compare?
It feels like a completely different game, which is super interesting. Because they like made all the abilities much stronger, and you can like put stuff together. Not like you cannot just magnetize stuff, but you can hold everything and stick it to something else. So it's a lot about building stuff, like building vehicles or building planes, and it was very like, I was like, that's weird thing to add to this game, but it changes the whole game and it changes all the puzzles. And I think my favorite thing to do in Tears of the Kingdom is going into a temple and like investigating what the solution might be that the devs want you to do, and then do something completely different. So that's something I really love. So yeah.
Do you think that comes from your experience as a dev now, or is that just you being, a little bit of a troublemaker?
I think it's kind of both.
Oh, fair
Also,
enough.
I'm like in the last few years, I have been always like, when I'm playing games, I always try to look a little bit more of the game designer perspective and what do they want me to do. And I'm like, okay, there's a light, I'm pretty sure they want me to go there, and like all this stuff. And I'm trying to see, did they think about everything else that I can do here? And it's always cool, especially with Nintendo games, because it feels like, yeah, they thought about everything. And even if they just add like a small coin in a Mario game at a certain place where no one goes, it's always like, yeah, they know I go here. So yeah, I really love that.
Awesome. So that's Uncharted 3.
Yeah, I think it's
Are you going for 3?
Three multiplayers were, yeah, definitely.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Snowboard Kids.
Yes.
Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
And
Burnout
Burnout Paradise. Okay, that's a very strong 5. Awesome. I think Burnout 3 was one that my brother and I really enjoyed playing growing up. And like, we didn't really race properly. We just wanted to crash into like the biggest vehicles ever.
Yeah.
So like, we would just, if we could get a near miss, that's like a point for us. So we did the house rules, and Burnout was just so much fun. I think
it's always great. Also, like especially as a kid, you sometimes come up with your own rules, because you only like, maybe because we just had like a limited set of games, and you just go creative with what you can do, even like make your own rules. Like, I remember my sister and I, we played Mario Kart 64, and we didn't play with items. We just in the battle maps, we were just trying to like play catch, kind of, in a way.
Oh, okay.
It was super funny. Or at some point we were just like, how many bananas can we put in this little pond there? And like there was no limit in that game, so a lot. It was super funny. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I recently started playing all the old games as well, the Burnout games, because I only played Paradise, and everyone's always saying play the old games. So I bought Burnout Revenge, I think, and I'm playing a lot now on Xbox, because it's like you can play that in like 4K on the Xbox Series X, which is great. Same with the SSX games. I also love those. I think top 6 is SSX. I just came very, very late to that franchise. I started with like the V version, which everyone says like it's the worst. I love that game though. And then later, like the 2012 version on PlayStation 3, and now I'm playing, in the last few years I have playing the old ones, and they are great. So they are also really helping me with designing my game, because it's kind of a mixture of Snowboard Kids, but also much faster, and stuff like that. So yeah.
When I saw Slopecrashers, the first thing I thought of was SSX,
Mm,
and not in the case of, oh, this is just a one-to-one
mm.
copy, but like I can see the spirit of that game. I can see the essence. There's definitely influence. And hey, I don't know how many different, big time snowboarding franchises there are in gaming, but SSX is one that my brother and I played growing up on the Dreamcast, I want to say. And yeah, that was very chaotic. I should look that up because I think it
Yeah.
is on the Dreamcast.
I think it is, yeah. And I'm pretty sure like if I would have played those games sooner, then they would probably be my top three. So it's just I came very late to that franchise, and like SSX3 is the one I think is the best now. Like I have played it so much now, and yeah, I think a lot of the influence in my game is from SSX 2012, but I feel like the worst part of SSX 2012 was the level design because they used real mountains and stuff, which wasn't really the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
And my level design comes much more from like Snowboard Kids or Mario Kart and stuff. So like that's what me influences me in terms of level design, or maybe even Burnout a little bit. But I think there's a lot of SSX in there, not from the old games, but it's like it's the same spirit I feel.
yeah.
So yeah,
Apparently, SSX was never on the Dreamcast, so
I thought the first one was planned for it at least, but I
yeah,
know
I
it's on
think it was.
PlayStation. I think there
Yeah,
was some plans and then it didn't work out, and so they
yeah,
went with launch title for PlayStation 2 or something.
yeah.
But I
SS
have something in my memory with Dreamcast, yeah.
I definitely played a snowboarding game on Dreamcast. I must have the wrong franchise. But
Fair
yeah, you're
enough.
absolutely right. Yeah, when I looked it up, it started out on Dreamcast development, and then
Right.
EA and Sega had a big bust up. But
Mm.
either way, I do remember playing a snowboarding game. I was absolutely terrible at it, but it was still very fun to play.
Oh yeah.
And I
Those
think,
games were hard back then.
yeah,
Like honestly, when I started playing SSX3 for the first time, or Tricky it was, I think. That was a few years ago, and I would say I'm very good in like the later games. And then I
Mm.
played that, and like I was falling constantly. I'm like, this game is what the heck? Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm not sure if that's early development or like us being bad at games, or those games genuinely being tougher. And as time has gone on, they've made games a bit more sensible and like more intuitive to play.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like that's something that I also have to, because there's like just a there's the market is just different. If you don't like I don't know if everyone is like that, but if you play like 5 minutes and the game is like I don't get it, many
Yeah,
people are like, okay, I have 300 other games. So
yeah,
yeah, so you
yeah.
kind
You're
of have to
absolutely right.
add the accessibility to like newcomers. Definitely, yeah.
That's a very good point. Yeah, and it goes to your earlier point of growing up where you had three games on the N64, so you found
Mm,
a way to make those three games fun. There wasn't, oh, I don't want this. Let's go get a fourth game. Whereas now, a lot of
yeah.
gamers are older on average. They have more money, so if they don't like a game or it doesn't speak to them or they're not good at it, they don't.
Mm,
There's no challenge. There's no desire to want to finish that game. They just drop it and play something else. So yeah.
definitely. Same with
Um,
Game Pass, where it's like you have
mhm.
like this 300 games that are like free.
Exactly. You're
So yeah,
quite
it's
literally
which
spoiled for yeah, you're spoiled for choice. Like
yeah,
it,
definitely.
for whatever reason, because like no one's entitled to have, you have to like this game or you're wrong.
Mm,
Like for whatever reason, a game cannot be for someone, but that's very tough on the devs. So
mm.
the market is different, and yeah, it's good that you acknowledge that. So I guess this is a good place to like go into you as a person, Hannes, and I want to talk about you before getting into this game, and then spend a lot of time just talking about Slopecrashers. So, how do you go from enjoying these games like Snowboard Kids and Burnout at Paradise, and then going, oh, I want to make a game for me? When does that light bulb moment hit?
Well, I think there always was a little bit in my mind, like like throughout my childhood, I was like, okay, I kind of want to do this at some point. Like this is great, um, but I always had like in the back of my head where it's like, okay, this is our huge companies, and Also in my country, in Austria, there is none. Like, I mean, there's a few. There's a bunch of companies, but it's not a lot. So I always like, okay, this is not a viable career option for me. That was always in my head, like even throughout my teenage years, where it's like you have to think about your career path and where you go to school. And I was like, okay, I see there is nothing here in Austria, so that's too bad. But hey, at least I can still like learn programming and stuff. And I heard that's kind of a thing that's up and coming, and it's with computers, and I like computers, so let's do that. So yeah, that was kind of where I went then into programming. And at some point, all these little engines came out, and I think when I was like 15 or 16, I for the first time installed Unreal Engine 3, and I did not understand what I was seeing. And I tried to do tutorials, and I was like, no, that's doesn't work. That's way too complicated. That takes like that takes decades to make a level or something. I don't know. I just didn't get it at that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I finished school and stuff, and I went to work and had my first like proper job after school. And yeah, they did not really know. Like, I was quite good in programming, I feel, but the tasks that they gave me, they were not complicated. Like, usually I was like done with my tasks after like a few minutes, where they were like, hey, this is for the next few hours or for this day. I'm like, well, and very often, like, I had nothing to do there. And my boss back then, like, I think if I would be there now, it would be different, because you can actually talk to people. So I was an awkward kid. So I was like, okay, I have nothing to do, and I can't do anything. So I was super bored at that time, and I was like always coming home after work after like 9 hours, and I'm like, man, this sucks. And I was like, I really wanted to do something. So that was the time where like indie games started coming in, and I was always more interested in games overall than just playing it. Like, I also kind of wanted to become like a journalist in games media. That was also something that I thought that I might pursue. So I was hearing there's like games coming out like with 1 or 2 devs, and like, wait, that's a thing now that works. And it was like right at the time where Unreal Engine 4 released, and then I was like, okay, you know what? I tried it again, and to my surprise, that was very much doable. Like even programming was done like not in like code, but you can just like with visual scripting, and it was like super like I just understood how it works. I didn't have to learn like lots of new technologies. Like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. So I don't know. I just started out working on my dream game, which was an open world survival MMO game.
Okay.
That I definitely never finished. So I wanted to make a Stranded Deep game, like a survival game. And survival games will always be in the back of my head, because I feel like there's also a market, a big like not market. I just wanna say in a way, there is games to be made in the survival genre that are not there yet. Because very often the survival genre is the first hour you like farming coconuts, and in hour 3 you build helicopters. Which I feel like is not very realistic. So I kind of wanted to make something very realistic, and after 1.5 years, I stopped because it went absolutely nowhere. There were so many technologies that I implemented, all the Uncharted moveset and everything I could think of, and weapons. I don't even know why, but I did everything. But it was like my learning playground, I'd say. And yeah, at that time I also started like studying, still not game development, because I was still thinking that's not a viable career option because there is nothing in my area. So I kept it as a hobby, or every time there was like school or university projects where we had to make like a mobile app, I was like, what if I make a mobile game? I was like, okay. So I made tons of games in university, lots of small mobile games. And very early, I also started thinking of, okay, I want to have a snowboarding game again, and I don't know how to do it because I don't know anything about physics because I never paid attention in class, and I don't know how to code it, but I wanted. So I started very simple, and the first thing I made was like an endless runner, like Subway Surfers, but snowboarding themed.
Okay.
Yeah, this game was also called Slopecrashers. It's not available anymore. But it was a Subway Surfers with tricks. It was actually quite cool.
I mean, I would like to see that as a big Subway Surfer fan.
Nice. Yeah. I don't even know if I have it here somewhere, but I can send you like a video at some like definitely.
Awesome. That'd be
Um,
great.
yeah, it's not, it wasn't great looking or anything. I still didn't like, I don't have didn't have any art skills whatsoever. Um, but that's where the idea formed of like having these animals on the board. Um, because I couldn't 3D model humans. Um, I
Mm.
tried and like really like modeling everything from the face down, and they looked so bad. Like um, it's the same thing. Like if you start drawing human faces, and it's like, why does it look so bad? Why did it look so
Yeah.
derpy? Or why is it looking like this guy that just drew looks so stupid, and I don't know why. And that was it was infinitely worse in 3D. I was like, okay, you know what? I'll take a lemur. So I made a
Okay.
lemur. It looked also really derpy, but that also made it kind of cute.
Yeah.
So animals it was.
That's quite interesting. Like, I mean, first of all, you went into looking into Unreal Engine 3 and
Mm,
you were like, yeah, that's not for me. But Unreal Engine 4 came along and that was a lot more easy to understand.
mm.
Can you go a bit more into what the differences were between the two engines?
Um, Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's true what I'm saying because I feel like I have a week of experience in Unreal 3 when I was 15, and now I have like 8 years of experience in Unreal 4 and 5. So, but I don't know. I feel like Unreal 3 it was still very much you went towards it from a technical point of view.
Right.
So every time you did something, you had to go very very technical, and it's like um, I feel like there wasn't even like a good 3D viewport or anything. It's just like you had like these different perspectives from the side and stuff. And I don't know. It was just every time I put something in, it was not looking that great. Like I don't know. Um, I felt like I never could achieve the thing that I want, like that I had in my head in a way. And I didn't know why. And I felt very different when I started with Unreal 4 because I just put stuff in and it immediately looked much better than I envisioned it. Because like all these like the new rendering techniques that just like take so much, they
Mm.
do so much work for you. All the lighting, you can you can put in the ugliest 3D asset and it's immediately beautiful because it's like you can just like just change the lighting of the sun and stuff, and it's like yeah, it looks great. Tweak a few values and it's already amazing. So um, yeah, I'm still not the greatest artist, but the engines definitely helped me a ton. So I don't know. It was just it just felt better to work with it, and just you had results much quicker that looked better than you thought. And in the old engines, I didn't feel like that's the case.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think I can get where you're coming from with that, definitely. Um, yeah, that the Survivor MMO. I think that was very ambitious from the sounds of it, from what you were saying.
Oh
Trying
yeah.
to incorporate Uncharted move sets and stuff. Um, can you talk a bit more about any other obstacles that you faced while trying to build that game, or was it mainly just you felt kind of stuck when trying to build a game so ambitious?
Um, there were yeah, it was like very big was the feeling stuck in a way.
Mm,
But also like I had that great idea to make it like a third person game, and make it super realistic looking. And at some point it was like, yeah, these assets are not looking great enough, or these animations don't look good enough, and I was like trying to like learn Maya 3D modeling, animating, and stuff at the time, and for that, the free resources were not that great to learn it, and every time I had an issue with it, I was stuck. I don't know what to do. It looks good in Maya, and then I import the animation into like Unreal, and it's like it's not the same. It looks very different, and it always was like these kind of things. And I feel like now I could probably do it much better because it's kind of what I'm doing now. But
Yeah.
I was like, there's so much more I need to learn for this type of game, and it would take me way like it was already like 1.5 or even 2 years in, and I'm like, I don't even I don't even have like 5% of the game. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I went overboard with ideas, and they don't like it doesn't form a game. It's a tech demo, and I was like, okay, I need when I make a game next, I need to come up with a plan from the start and stick to that plan. So I was like, okay, this wasn't a waste of time. I learned everything. Let's start small with all the things that I learned. That was kind of what I wanted to do then, and maybe come back to this much later. That was kind of the
Yeah.
idea.
I think that's a little peak of your mentality as an individual as well, because um, for a long time, people have grown up with the mentality of, not being able to finish something is failing, not, achieving your goal is a bad thing. But sometimes it shows you that there's an alternate route you can take. And sometimes it's not about failing or messing up. Sometimes it's about learning from the experience. So maybe it's just, okay, this doesn't work at this time because A, we don't have the money, B, we don't have the resources, or C, this is just not for me at this time. So I think being able to pivot is one of mankind's greatest strengths, and I think this is going to be revealed to be one of your greatest strengths, because when I look at Slopecrashers, it's a stupidly fun game, and it really speaks to me as like a gamer who really loves that fun factor in games. Like I love great technical marvel. I love being able to count Kratos' thousand ashy lashes and stuff, but what I really want is to just lose myself in the game for a few hours. So I think with Slopecrashers, you achieve that very, very well.
Hey guys, I'm a meathead gamer, probably just like you. I understand the importance of playing Stellar Blade, but I also understand the importance of being in a squat rack. So I got the perfect programs for you. Hammerhead, Shogun, the Tenacity Strength Hypertrophy Method, all of these designed to get you bigger, to get you stronger, and to be like one of these characters on Stellar Blade that don't look like one of these ugly ass monsters. So hit me up at Tenacity Strong and get a copy. It will do nothing but help you achieve your physical goals, and you'll get better at your gaming goals, because when you look good, you play good. All right, y'all have a good one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So my follow-on question is, what was the moment when you knew Slopecrashers was the correct idea to go with?
So I always like when I made that Endless Runner, I already had in mind to make more games with these same animals, and I was like, okay, at some point I need to revisit like old school snowboarding, because there is nothing like it was. I formed that plan, I think, in 2016 or something, and the last Decade Snowboarder was SSX 2012, and I think the studio was even closed afterwards or something. So there was just nothing happening in that genre, so to say. There were like simulators coming out, but that's not what I want to play. I want to go like 300 miles per hour and jump like a kilometer downwards and be fine. So that's what I want, and boost and everything. So I was like, okay, I need to do that at some point. And so there was like this time where I had to do like an internship for my own university, and I really wanted to do like a game development internship. So which meant I needed to go outside of my country, and the problem that I was facing was I don't have any skill that was taught to me. I only have skill in game dev that I taught myself on YouTube, and the only thing I have to show for it was like a tech demo of like a third person moveset. So yeah, like no company took me. Like, yeah, we don't need an like we don't have like internships for, I don't know, people that are not even in our country and stuff. So a lot of these were happening, and I'm like, man, this sucks. So
Yeah.
I at that time was like, okay, I could either, and like my other experience with like job before like university was super boring. So I kind of didn't want to go into, as I said, because it could have been better. It was probably with the limited of my teenage awkwardness that came with it. Not that like anyone not that anyone of the old job doesn't even knows what I'm doing now, but just so no one is offended, I guess. So, but yeah, so the idea that I had was, okay, I need to convince my teachers, because I already like made my own company in a way to do like freelancing work.
Right.
I need to convince them that I can work in my own company in the internship semester and make a game. And I actually kind of pulled that off, and no one really did that before. And they were like, yeah, okay, you need to give like a business plan and a document where you do everything and plan everything and what your plans are and what your monetization plans are, and basically form a startup out of this. And I was like, a week later, I had like big documents and gave it to them, and talked to them more, and they're like, yeah, looks good. Like, wait, really? Really? And that was where I planned Slopecrashers. This, like the game that I'm having now, like even with like Switch version, everything, everything was in the document. And yeah, so I had one semester where I could just work on this game, and that was like the kickoff. And I think that was also the only way of how this could have even worked. Like, if I would have done this like after school or something, or after university every day, I don't think it would have picked up with my motivation. But because I had like 4 months or 5 months even of like full time starting this out, I think that was like a good kickoff of this, and that was like why it worked out. Because like even from the beginning, I knew this is a big undertaking. Like, I don't know anything about physics, I don't know anything about console development, and yeah, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, so I started with that, and yeah, now we're here.
That is pretty cool that you had the idea for Slopecrashers from your studying days, and you were able to build a business plan around it. And like you said before in your previous answer, having the plan from the outset really helps with your long-term vision and to keep the motivation going. And I think that's a really cool thing that you were able to do to now. But Slopecrashers is almost at the point where it's ready to release.
Yeah, I mean, in that plan that I made back then, that was 2018, where I wrote that plan. That also contained a line which said the release of the full game will be end of 2019. So it wasn't the best plan.
It was ambitious.
Yeah.
Because I mean, building a game by yourself, I mean, that in itself is incredibly ambitious. So for you to get it to this point now, I think it's very commendable. You mentioned 2018, so that's about 5-6 years that you've been working on the game.
Yep. It's been a while.
I would like to know more about you building a game by yourself. You mentioned not knowing about physics or console development. So how did you come up with the solutions about those shortcomings that you had?
I feel like I do one thing very often, and it's always, I'm at least like in the whole like job perspective or working perspective, or I always try to do the one thing first that scares me the most. Because if I do anything else, like I feel like, what am I doing here? I don't even know if I can pull this off. So that's always how I started. Like, the first thing was, I don't know anything about physics. I don't know how to do that, how snowboarding even works. Like I snowboarded 1 week in my life, in real life, and like I only had to show for it was like bruises everywhere, and everything was hurting. So that's I didn't have that much skill with that. So yeah, the first thing I really did was actually grabbing my old physics textbooks from school, and just like learning about like forces and vectors and stuff again, because I didn't know anything anymore. So that was the first thing, and I like experimented in the engine and tried to mimic what was in the textbooks, kind of, and there was also some papers online about snowboarding, and that's kind of how I tried to make this, like what forces do affect the movement, and that's kind of where I started. And I think it after like 2 weeks or something, I had a very good working prototype. Like I had multiple at the time, multiple prototypes already. Some worked better, some worked worse, and at some point I was like, yeah, I think I'm getting there now, and I have like a good physics set that I can expand and I can make better, and I can tweak values here and there to make it feel better. But yeah, after 2 weeks I had that, and for me the next big scare point was, can I even design levels? Because the other thing I did in the like in the endless runner, it was like procedurally generated, and that wasn't an option for this. I wanted to have like levels that you can learn, where you can get better and find shortcuts, find collectibles and stuff. So that was the other thing, and so I took like a weekend just with like paper and just drew down courses, whatever I could think of. And I think that was also like the point where the release shifted already. That was like after 2 weeks of working on this game, because my idea was I don't know much about 3D modeling. I know a few things, but snowboarding doesn't seem very much work, because what is there? There's like snow, there's a few rocks and trees. That's about it. And on paper, when I designed the courses, the first one was exactly that. It had like snow, it had rocks, a little bit of water and rivers here and there. I also added some railways too. And the second course was already, okay, what if we're going through a shopping mall? So yeah, I kind of failed there already to make that like reasonable scale. But yeah, I wrote like I sketched down like 10 different courses, and those courses are in the games like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I started this, and then I moved on to the next point that kind of scares me. So yeah.
That's great. That's long-term planning right there, you know?
Yeah.
So how many courses are in this game?
So initially the plan was to have 10 courses.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these courses are kind of long actually. And there's also a way of getting back to the top, like in Snowboard Kids, where you get into the lift and get back up and then have like
cool.
multiple laps. And and I wanted to have these 10 courses that are super unique to each other, like much variety. I don't wanted to have things that feel similar or like just the same. And at some point I was like, man, making one of these courses takes forever. Like designing a world, designing an art style for every of these maps, this is crazy. And everything I have to show for it is like one course every time. So I kind of pivoted at some point to have multiple tracks on one map. And instead of having like 10 maps now, I have 7 maps now. And all of these maps have multiple courses, because I already made like the mountains, and I made the environment around the courses, and I was like, why don't I just like put more courses in the background and stuff? So yeah, especially the city course, that was like I think that's the biggest one, or the biggest map. There's just so many buildings, there's so much stuff there that you already see, and I'm like, what if I just make a course through these buildings? Or I designed a whole shopping mall, why don't I put courses through the shops. And so that's kind of like, you see other courses when you're driving on the courses, and that's also something I really liked. So that's kind of where I pivoted, and there is now, I think, 21 tracks in the game.
Wow. Okay.
On 7 different worlds. So yeah.
Yeah, that's quite the feat again. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep saying how it is very impressive to witness, this baby that you built by yourself. So yeah, 21 courses is pretty cool across 7 maps. Yeah, that's really cool. You should be very proud of yourself. I'm very excited to definitely play through that shopping mall level. I just love craziness like that.
Oh yeah, same.
So you mentioned console development. Which consoles is Slopecrashers looking to come out on? I guess answer this as far as what you can say. Like, if there's stuff you're working on but hasn't been confirmed, then that's all right.
So like, as the creator, I kind of wanted to be everywhere.
Sure, of course.
But I feel like one thing I can definitely confirm, actually 2 things I can confirm. Like, the first thing was the Switch version, because I wanted to make something for Nintendo. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I grew up with this. I grew up with the N64. I want to have something on Nintendo console. That's where I started working. Like, even after, I think that was like even one of my first points that I needed to take care of, is like, how do I do console development? So I immediately pitched the game to Nintendo.
Wow.
It was very different making games for Switch when the console released versus how it is now, which you can see when you browse through the eShop. But back then it was like, there's like this one guy that works at Nintendo, kind of in a way that you send an email to with your pitch, and he's like, okay, or not okay. And he actually was okay. Like, he wrote back the next day and he gave me all the access, and it was really cool. It was also very like, okay, I think this is cool what I'm doing, because Nintendo said, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I also am working on the Xbox version already. I had the that's also something I always talked about my game and about the development of the game, that we are making this. We are working on this, just because I always felt when I said I'm working alone on this, that people are like, "Oh, they're just alone. Okay, this is nothing. Like, we cannot this won't be good or anything." So I was like, kind of like, okay, I just say I have a team. Like, initially, I don't know. I was so much self-doubt and everything, and I don't know. Now I'm just roll with it. Like, yeah, I'm a solo developer. Just play it, and you see if it's good or not. So yeah, I don't know. I was very, very, very self-conscious, I guess, in a way. But it still sticks. Like, I always still say, yeah, we are making this.
Yeah, it's just habits, sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there was like this demo month on Xbox they have this every year at December, and I think in July as well, where developers can submit their games to have it featured in the store for a month as a demo. And yeah, I submitted to that, and they said, yeah, okay, let's do it. And like, damn it, I have like 3 weeks to make an Xbox version. And that's like always, I'm always working towards these deadlines. They're way too quickly coming.
Tight,
yeah. And it's like, oh my god. And it was like, oh my god, this was like, sometimes I'm doing very, very unhealthy work weeks because of these deadlines sometimes. And I mean, it was purely my fault, but I still kind of, okay, I submit, they won't take me, and like, yeah, of course, it's in 3 weeks, so you have to submit. Like, oh my god. So yeah, so Xbox and Switch is something I can definitely confirm.
Awesome. Yeah, it's very interesting that when we do submit things that are very lofty, almost like, oh yeah, they won't take us. Yeah, I think there is something almost there to like study why people do that, because you've got a great idea. You've got Xbox and Nintendo telling you got a great idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will go a long way in eliminating any like imposter syndrome you have.
Oh my god,
Um,
yeah. I
yeah,
wish that will get better at some point.
I think yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Like with reps comes confidence, and
Mm.
yeah, even that's very interesting. How like you kind of had this innate thing inside you to go, we are making this game, as in there's more people. We have a team working on this game. Is that something that anyone ever told you, or is that just something that um when you did pitch and you used the first person that you got negative feedback on?
I feel like I don't think no one. I don't think anyone told me that. I just felt like, okay, I'm writing an email to Nintendo saying, okay, hey, some guy in Austria, and a country you probably don't even know, is making a game. Of course, they say no. So that's kind of what I felt at that
Okay.
time. So
There
yeah,
was a rejection before.
maybe it's just like the job rejections that I got.
Mm,
Like all like I don't know. I submitted an application to like 40 different companies, and all of them, even like if they even sent me an answer or a reply,
yeah.
there was no. So I was like, I don't know. Okay,
Right.
um,
Okay. So it's
yeah,
a bit of like a reverse engineering. Like, okay, is there something in what I'm doing that is making me essentially unattractive to these
maybe,
companies?
yeah. I think
Okay.
so. It could be that. Not that I ever thought about it. But I think yeah, you might be onto something there. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that is quite interesting. Because as a consumer, I think we would have the opposite reaction. We're hearing one person's working on a game, and we're like, "Oh, that's cool. Let's check this out." And then there's
Yeah.
almost like there's extra grace given because we're like, "Oh, we understand how big games are to make. So if one person's making this, we're gonna be very patient and understanding."
Mm,
But yeah, I can kind of get how the corporate side of things is kind of like we're gonna be giving our platform to this one person.
yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of get it, but I think now that you've got proof of concept and now you're gonna have a great track record, that shouldn't apply to you. So yeah, I think you should be very confident in saying me, because it is only you. There's no need to
Yeah.
share the
Yeah.
there's no need to share the credit if there is no need to, right?
Okay, there's one credit I need to share though.
Okay.
Because the music is nothing I did. I tried making music. Um, and man, that's way more difficult than I thought. And at some point, like the guy Benedict Nichols reached out to me on social media, said, "Hey, do you want music?" I'm like, yeah, show me what you can do. And he sent me a track for free, basically. I'm like, okay, you're making the soundtrack. So so the soundtrack is something that's not by me, that I bought extra for. Like it's an original soundtrack, but yeah, that's definitely some credit that I have to give still. But I feel like the term solo dev is already in modern days very
Yeah.
like it's kind of like, I mean, still the game wouldn't exist without the solo dev, and then there is like stuff that you buy or
Of course.
competences you
Yeah.
get extra. But yeah, so it's not 100% me, so it's almost. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, still solo dev, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. Was it Benjamin Nichols?
Benedict Nichols.
Benedict
He did like
Nichols.
Omno or the Falconeer, and Bulwark is now a game that came out. Like he's doing great stuff actually. Like
Awesome.
much bigger games than I'm doing. So yeah.
That's really cool. Well, we'll give him a shout out definitely. And music is very important, so it's cool that you
Definitely.
didn't really take a shortcut there.
Yeah. Also, like the way he messaged me was like, "Oh my god, are you inspired by Snowboard Kids?" And he was like, immediately we were like, okay, he's also a big Snowboard Kids fan.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, you know what? I will send you a track for free. If you like it, and you can have it. If there's more tracks needed, I'd like to do more. But I just want to do something like this for a franchise that I love, kind of in a way. And I don't know, just our similar like love with the game, with the old game, kind of was very very easy to say that he's doing the music then. So yeah.
That's cool. Like nothing will, bridge that gap quicker than a shared interest, and
Yeah.
like the fact that you both have that same connection to snowboarding kids is pretty amazing. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how you would have interacted otherwise. It's just it's just a really cool thing that game development has taken on now. Like you can really work with people all over the world.
Oh,
Like
definitely. Yeah.
like South America and Europe and Africa, like all these different continents can come together to build one project. That is pretty awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So your game is set to come out in Q3 2024.
That is the plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming quickly. So yeah. Exactly. So since like I think 2 months ago, I signed with Neon Hive now as the publisher. So I initially was like completely indie, but now like the last year I was like, okay, I kind of want a publisher to just, I don't know, like at some point, like in these 6 years, it was like, okay, doing everything by myself is like, man, this sucks at some point. So there's times where it's not great, and I know I don't have like any experience with launching a game. I think I'm making a good game is like making a game, the experience I collected, but you can only launch once. So yeah, I thought I want support for that, and now I actually have a publisher, which is great. So they will work on the game too, on the marketing and everything, and launching the game. And yeah, it's much easier to say now that the launch will happen at that time in Q3, but it's still not a final date. We will see. We won't launch at the same day as GTA 6, so we have to see
I
what
think
other
that's
games
wise.
come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the plan is to launch it this year on everywhere, actually, like on Steam and consoles. So yeah.
All right, awesome. Congrats for getting the Neon Hive as a publisher. Yeah, I'm familiar with them. They do great work.
Yeah, that's also
So
why I was at
Mhm.
WASD where we met. So yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So looking forward to that. That's not a very long time to go because,
No.
as you can see, we're already, well into 2024.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned, of course, Steam. There's going to be Nintendo. There's going to be Xbox. I'm assuming they're going to launch around the same time.
That is the plan. Yeah.
Okay. Because with a lot of indie games now, I see almost staggered releases, and I'm sure that's to do with like Nintendo and Xbox wanting certain things done a certain way. But yeah, sometimes you do see the Steam release come up first, and then you'll see a
Yeah.
Nintendo and Xbox release come up maybe 3 to 12 months afterwards.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's also because it is a lot of work. Yeah, it's not just okay, let's press the Xbox button and it works. So there's a lot of stuff to it, and I'm super happy that I already have like all the experience with Xbox because of the demo launch last year. And yeah, I also like from kind of the start have been working on the Switch version as well to keep like the performance in check, and so that everything works on there too. So I feel like there's no big hurdles anymore that will be thrown my way when it comes to the consoles. I don't know. Maybe there will
We can
be.
only hope.
Yeah, but I think it should be fine. And if there is a delay, then that's just a few short months and not a year or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think a lot of consumers are a lot more forgiving as well nowadays. We understand the stresses of building a game and having to launch it. So I think if it does come to the point where the game has to be delayed, I don't think that's like a nail in the coffin or anything like that. People are willing to wait.
Yeah. Also, I think especially the people that have been following my game, they know. They know that the game is taking longer than I initially thought. But I always keep on integrating the feedback, and they see it because I am patching the demo every now and then and integrating the feedback that they had. And I think it's only like they see it's becoming a much better game than it was before. So yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's really, really good. So Q3 2024. The demo's out now.
Yeah, on Steam
Yeah.
you can play the demo. It has I think 3 or 4 tracks at the moment. I'm rotating through the tracks at some point. I always like to test different tracks and stuff. It has like different game modes from races to stunt shows to like different game modes. Like there's like 5 or so in there, and multiplayer up to 4 players on one machine or up to 8
Like,
players online is also in a demo. So yeah,
wow, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's
I
a
like
big demo, but
that.
I just thought about having the multiplayer in, yes or no, but I need to test it, as it's hard to test like a multiplayer with 8 people as a solo dev, if not to say it's
Yeah.
impossible. So yeah, but it actually
Yeah.
has been great because only because the demo has the multiplayer. There was like this big esports event in France for like that was like a few weeks ago, and they had Slopecrashers as one of their games that they played, which was
Wow,
amazing. Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
that was really cool. So yeah.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, you know me, I love a good multiplayer game. So 4 players offline, 8 players online.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I am very excited to get hands on with this game. So if there is one last thing that you could say to anyone who is maybe watching this and is debating whether to pick this game or not, what would you say to those people to convince them to pick up Slopecrashers?
I think it's kind of the best way of describing a game to players is always like doing a little bit of a comparison to other games, so they know what they're in for. Because I can do marketing talk and say, oh my god, it's like an open, like it's like the maps are very open and you can, oh you are fast, you are animals that you can customize, and they can all the buzzwords, and it's like, yeah, nobody really cares for that. But if you have played old school arcade snowboarding games, or if you have played snowboarding games and always felt like they are way too realistic, I want to be faster. Then I think it's definitely something that you should check out. Also, like, not even just faster, but if you played like new snowboarding games like Shredders or doesn't matter, other snowboarding games that are more like simulation games, they are very hard to get into it. Sometimes I feel, and I think if you have never played a snowboarding game, I think my game should be a good entry point. Like, it is very accessible in a way. I'm trying to make it easily accessible. It's not as easy as like a Mario Kart, but I think you can get into it quite quickly. There's some helper features as well that are enabled by default. So I think that's something, if you are interested in that, that's one reason for you to check out. Also, if you have played kart racer games like Mario Kart or something, and have never played a snowboarding game or anything, I think then it's also something worth checking out, because just because like you have a jump button and all this stuff, and the maps are just more open, and like even the glider that you can use whenever you want, not just at certain sections. I feel like it opens up the gameplay a lot, and it's like it's not as restrictive as the kart racing genre is. So yeah, if you're a fan of any of these types of things, check it out. Demo is free. Nothing's lost except a little bit of time. And yeah, I think that's one way. Also, one other reason, because I always see when I exhibit the game in real locations, that families really like to play it together, because kids love animals, it seems, and
Yeah.
the parents like it because it's not brutal or anything. It's just a very fun looking racing game. So yeah, I think there are a bunch of reasons. I didn't form a coherent train of thoughts here, but I put something there.
Oh no, I think you made a lot of sense there. Yeah, you know, it's a fun snowboarding game. It's a fun racing game, which has gone for like the more the more of the speed aspect than the realistic aspect. So yeah, if you just want chaos and carnage,
Yeah,
that's your game.
and you can play the game in, like, there are different speed classes to play it in. Like, if you want to have it like more chill and slower, that's fine. You can set that up. Or if you want just go F-Zero speeds, you can do that too. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fun for all the family, which is very important. It's a market that's, very untapped. Like there could be more games, tapping into that market. So I think Slopecrashers is going to be a really good hit with the kids.
Oh yeah, hopefully, and I feel the same, especially when you like look at. I mean, I play on Xbox. I play like in the Game Pass, and I'm always like browsing through it and like, well, there's not really much like family friendly stuff in here that you can play together even. So yeah, I'd love to have the game at that. Like in that catalog at some point. I don't know if that will happen, but that would be cool. So yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. And this is the first game that you're going to ship, right?
Oh yeah, at least the first console or PC game I made. Mobile games before that I shipped on mobile without any marketing whatsoever, so no one played it. That's not fully true. The Endless Runner that I released, that was not popular, but it was popular in China for some reason.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. Like I had like this high score list in there, and there were so many people that played it. I don't know, and not that they were very good, to be honest.
Mm.
But there were a lot of people playing that for some reason. I don't know how they found it, but they found it. But yeah, no, I have never released a big game or anything, and the mobile games are not even there anymore because you have to be constantly updating them on mobile to keep the game in the store, which
Yeah.
I didn't do. So yeah, that's this one will be the first game on console and PC, and I'm super excited for it. Yeah.
And yes, so am I. I'm very excited for Slopecrashers to release on PC and consoles. And thank you for being such a great guest, Hannes. If anyone would like to follow more of your journey to see when that next devlog is coming out, where can they follow you?
Yeah. Okay. So you can either follow like Peekstone, which you can see here on. I may put the name here. On YouTube or Twitter or Twitch. You will probably most consistently see me on Twitch at the moment, and yeah, but I'm trying to do more devlogs on YouTube as well. And if you go on the Twitter of Peakstone, you will also see byteparrot, which is my company, which is also just me. It's just super confusing, but I'm posting everything about the game on byteparrot and more behind the scenes on Peakstone. That's kind of the idea that I had. So yeah, that's where you can follow. That's where you can check out everything. And yeah, and Slopecrashers demo is on Steam. There's also the links to the Discord and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So make sure to follow the man with 1,000 names.
Yeah. I also have Slopecrashers accounts everywhere that I don't use, so there's even more names. Yeah. Did I tell you that's the first game that I'm making?
Well, again, this is going to be a great learning experience.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, so make sure to follow Hannes, Peekstone, Slopecrashers, wherever it is that you are going to follow him. And make sure to wishlist Slopecrashers on Steam because that game is coming out just around the corner. And if you'd like to follow Streamcast for more great content, make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok on Streamcast_. And the rest of our links are in the description. Like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube, and leave a comment if you have any questions for Hannes. Yeah, leave them in the comments. Maybe we'll get him back to answer those questions.
Definitely.
And make sure to leave a review and rating on Spotify and Apple. Those go a very long way in our discoverability. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay safe. We'll see you on the next Streamcast.
Bye.
Bye.